We're here today with Sarah Nahidi and Tom Scott, authors of Stack the Legal Odds in Your Favor, a special prescriptive narrative legal book that will be released across the United States in November 2015. So, tell us a little bit about your book. What makes it so special?
Well, as far as we know, there is no other legal book in existence which has at least one non-lawyer co-author. Having authors that are both lawyers and non-lawyers gives the reader the hybrid viewpoint of someone within the system and someone from the outside, so you have the synergy unmatched in any other resource. Our approach is also exceedingly pragmatic as opposed to the quixotic methodology that so many other legal sources have, which would work in an ideal world, but the U.S. legal system is far from ideal. Lastly, it provides a way to counteract the corruption within the system, which is one of the important pieces of the puzzle when fighting a legal battle.
Should someone read this book now or wait until the need arises?
The legal system can entrap anyone at any time. The best way to use our book is as a preventative aid, first, and then as a remedial tool, second. Having a good understanding of the true operation of the legal system before it strikes can be an immeasurably huge advantage.
So tell me, what sets this book apart from other legal resources?
Yes, we don't hide anything. Nothing is hidden from the reader. Very few lawyers will divulge everything you need to know about the system. And this is for a couple of reasons. The primary one being it's not good for their business, and it might cause problems for them down the road. We like to use the analogy that we lay out all the weaponry on the table. You know, you've got the knife, the battle axe, the revolver, the shotgun, the sword, whatever. And this way the reader gets to choose whatever he or she thinks will be the most effective in their legal battle, not the lawyer and not the legal system.
When did this project get going? How did it start?
The true beginning happened over a couple decades ago when I personally experienced the American legal system for the first time. The result of that court case wasn't anything at all what the big PR machine makes it out to be to grade school children. My first experience was very poor, actually, of course. But by the third or fourth legal battle, I was beginning to see the pattern: ignore court rules of procedure, ignore the statutory laws, and use the U.S. Constitution as a doormat. And, of course, legislate from the bench. So fast forward a couple of decades, and after this experience was repeated in all but maybe 2 or 3 of my 24 legal battles in 3 different states, the idea for a book began to gestate in my head back in 2012. By the summer of 2014, the project was well underway. I researched online for a co-author, a lawyer, which is where I found Sarah. She had very good ratings on this particular site. And after a few conversations with her, we could see we were on the same page, that she experienced some of the same things in the legal system that I did. She saw the same shortcomings in any kind of a resource like the one we're producing. There's nothing out here like it. So she very much felt, as I did, that the need to produce something like this was very much needed. So not long after that, we began leveraging ideas off of each other, completing the book, as we are right now. We're in the final stages of the book, and of course doing the marketing and all the other logistics associated with launching a book like this.
Okay, so how do you both fit into this project? What are your respective roles?
So the areas that Tom has more experience in are some of the areas of law that I have lesser experience. And a lot of the areas of law that I have more experience are areas of law that Tom has less experience in. So I think our skill sets and areas of knowledge complement each other well. We're also doing all of the legwork in finding a printer, getting the word out, sending press releases to the media, and everything else that goes along with launching a book.
So I like the cover design. Whose idea was that?
Everybody likes it. That was Tom's idea. I wasn't big on the idea of being on the cover, but Tom reassured me only a few million people will see it.
I see the book is dedicated to the victims of the legal system. Why would you decide to do that?
We've written this book to address the major problem affecting our country, the failing judiciary. We're not writers, we're authors. I make the distinction that writers write for a living But as authors, we're putting forth this book to prevent people from becoming victims of the system. The reason we've dedicated the book to these victims, whether they are people who have been in prison for crimes they didn't commit, or worse yet, executed as a result, or people who are victims of police brutality, children that are victims of divorce, is because they fall right in line with the purpose of writing this book in the first place, which is to help these people. And taken together, there has to be millions of people in this country that fall into that very broad category.
I don't know any other book that's dedicated to these individuals. It's sad that abuses like that happen.
We also plan to donate a portion of the proceeds from all sales through our website to the organizations that are dedicated to helping victims of the system, and those that are pushing for reform, and any other such similar organizations like that related to charities.
Well, let's back up a little. What makes each of you qualified to write this book?
Well, I've had over 24 legal battles in my life to this point, in 3 different states. Sometimes there were 3 or 4 in 1 year. It was wave after wave at some points. In battles against lawyers head-to-head, I haven't lost. I've beaten individuals who are supposed to uphold the law, like lawyers, also police and judges. Plus, with my experience of what works and what doesn't, it better positions me to help others navigate through the corrupt system.
I've also worked for several companies, as well as other lawyers, before I started my own practice. And I worked on dozens of lawsuits and matters. And when it comes to helping individual clients, I try to educate each person on what the possibilities are and try to educate them that filing a lawsuit in the legal system is a gamble at best. Because ultimately your decision will rest in the hands of a judge or a jury, and there's no way of knowing what the outcome will be. So I try to encourage my clients to pursue mediation or settlement outside of court, because I think oftentimes that's a much better way to resolve an ongoing dispute versus using the judicial system to accomplish those goals.
How much work is it to put something like this together?
So before I even came on board, Tom spent well over 500 hours before I decided to get on board with the project. It's citing our material that takes the longest when writing a book, where you're blazing a trail where nobody has gone before. Some of our data you won't find in any other source because we've had to derive it from other data. It's not like writing a novel where you can just pick prose out of thin air. Everything has to be carefully checked, double-checked, particularly this kind of information. I remember Tom telling me the first page of chapter 10 took him several days. And in everything we're doing together on this project, and I'd say we'll put in well over 1,000 hours, if not closer to 2,000 hours, when it's all said and done. It's a lot of work, but we know helping people the way we will when it's all said and done is what makes it worthwhile.
What about all the other books? There's some well-established sources. Don't those help the readers out?
They do, certainly, but we take it to a whole new level. We kind of begin where they leave off. While some of the information that we provide can be found in other legal sources, we try to minimize it or use it only to propound the new, as yet untold information. However, almost all the information given in other legal self-help books can be found anywhere.
Will this book be available by your standard channels such as Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other bookstores?
We're not 100% sure at this point where it will be available outside of our website and through the charities that we will be supporting. We're going to reach out to some independent bookstores, so that might be hit or miss, and we haven't ruled out the big players just yet.
What formats will the book be published in?
We'll be producing an ebook and a paperback. I should add that we've kept all reference material in the book to this point as links to online sources. This way, people who buy the ebook can easily check our references as they read, many of which are excellent stories in their own right.
So Sarah, how can people find out more about this book?
On our website, it's the first letters of the words of the title, STLOIYF.com. We have a waiting list where readers who subscribe to the list will get a 15% discount code emailed to them when the book becomes available. They don't have to do anything special except get on the list to receive the discount. We also have the standard social media channels like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I would like to thank you both so much for being here, Tom Scott and Sarah Nahidi. It's been a pleasure. I look very forward to reading your book when it becomes available.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Yes, thank you very much as well.